Evening, everybody. Now, before we get started, Stacy has something up her sleeve, and I have no idea what it is. She's about to pull. She's about to pull something on me, and I'm scared to death.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm scared to death. It's Tomfoolery Thursday,
I didn't know I could be
and
so scary. Am I scary?
You're scary.
Sometimes I'm scary, I guess.
You're scary. You're scaring me a little bit right now.
No, you don't have to be scared. I don't really have a whole lot to say.
Some announcements to make.
Okay, all right. What you always take over, and you just. I never get. Sometimes it's hard for me to get a word in edgewise. Why don't I get to make the announcements today?
Okay, make the announcements,
All right.
Stacy.
I am pleased to let you all know that we are going to have Sunday morning service at 5 a.m.
So serious, wasn't she? She was talking.
We decided
so
it's going to
seriously.
be the coolest, and
Well,
everybody's
and
up then, aren't
everybody's, yeah, especially you.
they? Yeah. 5 a.m. Sunday morning, meet in the parking lot.
No.
Be there,
Or be square.
or be square.
No. Tell them the truth.
Okay, so we decided that we're going to give it a try at 9 a.m.
Right.
So Sunday morning, 9 a.m.
Right.
Same thing as it has been for the last couple weeks. Bring your own chair. We're not going to be serving any refreshments, no coffee, no anything like that. So you got to bring
Right.
your own. And the bathrooms will not be open, so
Right.
make sure
Church
you're
closed.
prepared.
Right.
The church will be closed, so get there, a couple minutes before 9. And prepared to leave pretty quick afterwards because we don't really.
Ooh,
Am I
me.
keeping you awake? This is an announcement. We're talking exciting stuff here.
I know. It's announcement.
And well, anyways, don't come if you're not feeling well. If you
That's
have
right.
any feelings of sickness or anything, it's best to just stay home.
And we know that some of you have wanted evening services, and we thought that we would just make a small adjustment at first. Okay,
Yeah.
small adjustment. And I know that it's
I gave
early for
in.
some people, and I get that, but we're going to just going to go ahead and try it out at 9 a.m. Okay, so. Just that's our neighbors walking
we're
the
waving
dog. We're
at
in the
our
front
neighbors.
yard, a
Yeah.
front porch again. Yes. So
Yeah.
be praying for Ron Lewis. Ron Lewis is in the hospital. He had a heart attack yesterday, and they just
not
apparently
good.
discovered
Yeah.
that today, and he's in the ICU. So be praying for Ron.
Well, he's
okay?
having a heart catheterization done.
Yeah, and they've got to wait for something.
Well, it's, the renal doctor has to give.
renal doctor,
he's
'cause
also
he's
having
got
some
kidney failure.
issues and so forth. So
Right.
he desperately needs our prayer and
Yeah.
a touch from God.
Yeah,
so
yeah, he needs God's healing for
Yeah.
sure. And pray
And
for
so does the
Linda,
family.
Amanda,
Yeah.
and Cody. Yes, and
because it's hard on them too,
And,
they can't go in and see
RJ,
them. Just like we
yeah.
all know. If any of us have anybody that's in a nursing home or in a hospital or
Right.
anything, it's very difficult.
difficult. Yeah. And another thing to be praying for, and this is not something, it is serious, but it's not like life-threatening like Ron. But many of you know that Carol, Stacy's mother, passed away last August. And this was her house. We were actually living with her. We were mooching off your mom.
I've always done it.
Well, we
Listen.
no, but we paid, we split the bills
Yes,
and
we
everything
did.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, we more than split the bills.
Yeah,
We took.
yeah. Well, anyhow, Stacy and I have been going through a process of. We've tried going through probate with the Pinellas County Court, and it's been difficult. But anyhow, we're trying to what's called assume the loan on this house. Stacy is the successor in interest, and it has been a challenge for us.
It's been unbelievable.
How
They just constantly ask for the same
More-
paperwork over
and
and
more
over
information.
again, and then they give you a number to call, and you call that number. Oh, we don't accept calls at this number.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just enough to make you.
this company does not respond to emails or phone calls.
No,
Everything is
but
done
they
through
give
the
you-
mail.
But they give you an email and a phone number.
But they give you an email and a phone number, and if you have a question, call me at this number. And
yeah, and
nothing.
so we call, and they're like, well, we don't answer our phone.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, but we're being patient, and
Yeah.
we're giving them everything they need and
Yeah.
more.
So it's just been a
And-
process of, okay, they asked for this information, we give them that information. Okay, now give us more information, and you
And that
have
stuff.
till the end of the month to get it to us, and we get them that information, and it's just and
Yeah.
then another letter comes. Oh, we need this information. So it's a constant battle for information. Okay, and it seems like it's a war of attrition. Well, they're not going to wear us out.
No,
We're going
they're
to
not gonna wear
continue
us
to
out.
we're going to continue
I love
to
my
do
house.
this, but just be praying for that God would just smooth this out for us to make it easier for us.
Just move on. I want to move on.
Yeah,
you
we
know?
want to get the house in her name and just be. It'll just be one thing that we can put to
Yeah,
rest.
right.
So pray for us in that, because it has caused a high level of frustration for
Mainly
sure.
on you, because I put him in charge of it.
Yeah.
Because I
Well.
can't stand stuff like that.
Yeah. Anyway, we're dealing with it. It's like sometimes it's frustrating being an adult,
Hmm.
right? We have to deal with
Yeah.
this kind of stuff,
Mhm.
But hey,
Yeah.
it is what it is, and we're dealing with it. But just pray that God would smooth that out for us, okay? So yeah. All right. Well, you look good today. You got your hair cut. You look good today. I like your hair.
I know it. You always like it after I get
Yeah,
it cut.
it looks
'cause
good.
It's not poofy. It doesn't have the 80s poof.
I like
Yeah,
it.
I know.
like it. Doesn't she look good?
Oh, stop.
Yeah. Okay. So is that it? No more
guess that's
tomfoolery?
No,
No.
I'm kind of fresh out of tomfoolery today.
Yeah.
I'm tired. We did a lot today.
Yeah. Well, if you notice me, I've got my golf hat on. I did go golfing today.
Socially
It's good for me.
distant
It's
golfing.
good for me to be.
Well, you got to
It's
get
good
out
for
there.
me to be to have a break and unplug for 4 or 5 hours and go chase a little white ball around.
Fun.
It's fun. I love it. I love it. Anyway, so we have been talking about this Bible study that I'm going through called Better Things, and it's about dealing with certain emotions and things that can cause people to be depressed. And the idea of better things comes from Hebrews chapter 6 verse 9, which says, I am convinced of better things for you. All right, that God has better things in store. So the first day we talked about the idea of insecurity and what Jesus and insecurity can be a reason that people fall into depression. The second day on Tuesday we talked about rejection and how rejection plays its role in helping us feel not helping us but causing us to feel depressed, and we saw how Jesus has spoken into our insecurities and it's spoken into our feelings of rejection, and Christ accepts us. He doesn't reject us. Christ accepts us lovingly. When we place our faith and trust in Him, we are accepted into the family of God. And so today we're going to talk about something else that can cause people to fall into depression. And really it's about people that have low self-esteem, because oftentimes people feel like they have no worth and no value in life. I know that I've talked to many people and counseled many people who just feel like they are worthless, feel like they don't add any value to anything, and oftentimes our value can be wrapped up in our homes, can be wrapped up in the kind of car we drive. We can feel like we are worthwhile if we have if we make a lot of money, or the people we hang around with, or whatever. People can make us feel worthless or can add value to our life. And Jesus spoke into this situation one time. There was a woman that was caught in adultery. You remember that woman? John chapter 8. Jesus in John chapter 7 was speaking in the temple, and it was right after one of the feasts, and that's where he says, I am the living water. Anybody who thirsts, come to me, and I will give you something to drink. I will give you water to drink, and you will thirst no more. And same thing that he told the woman at the well in John 5. But the very next chapter, a woman is caught in adultery. And if you remember the scene, okay, these Jesus is heading back into the temple to teach, and he is stopped on the way in by these Pharisees and the scribes and the elders and the teachers of the law, those who were very socially prominent, those who had power, those who were wealthy. Those are the people that stopped him and threw this woman before Jesus and said, this woman was caught in adultery, in the very act of adultery. Now, the law of Moses, they said, demands that she be stoned for what she did. All right? And they go, what say you, Jesus? What should happen to this woman? And it's remarkable. I mean, Jesus has just such a way of dealing with questions like that. You all remember what he said. He said, you who are without the first sin, you who are without sin, cast the first stone. Yeah, so remarkable. And of course we know that all of them kind of just walked away. But I want to just talk about the contrast between the woman who was caught in adultery and these prominent social men. Because what basically Jesus was doing was showing us that acceptance by him and grace and mercy and forgiveness that comes from him is not based on your social status, is not based on your wealth. You could be someone who legally at that time could have been stoned, had no social standing, was an outcast then of her society for the rest of her life. She would be considered an outcast. But Jesus wouldn't go there. And so that shows us, number one, that prominence and social status does not dictate your value and worth to Jesus Christ. And really, that is the only value that really matters. That is really the only value that matters. Now, before we go any further in this, let me ask you a question. What is really the basis for our worth in Jesus Christ? Do you have an answer for that, Stacy? What is the basis for our worth? You can't look.
I'm not good at these kind of questions. What's our basis of our worth?
In
Jesus?
Yeah. What is our value? I mean,
our value to Jesus.
Yeah.
He obviously values us very highly. He died on the cross for us.
That's the key. You see, our value is based upon what Jesus has done for us. You are so valuable to him that he was willing to lay down his life for you. And he not was only willing to do it, he actually did do it. He willingly died for you. And so that's how much value you have to him. Okay? Now, that's how much value that woman had to him as well. We often think that we become less valuable when we sin. I think that our sin, someone who has such a conscious awareness, and I'm not saying it's bad, but to have a conscious awareness of our sin. I think part of having the law of God written on our hearts and having the indwelling of the Holy Spirit is this idea is that we are aware and recognize when we sin, and we feel bad because we know that we have grieved and sinned against God. And so that's not all bad. But when that becomes your focus, you can, and sometimes do, begin to feel like you are worthless. Now, here's the thing. This woman was caught in adultery, right in the very act of it. And what did Jesus do? Jesus did not stop in defending her. He did not stop from getting rid of all those who were trying to stone her. No, that made him pursue this woman even more. And so, God does not. How can I say this? Because I don't want to say that God does not demand perfection, because he does in one sense, right?
Right.
That's why Jesus lived a perfect life for us. And so that perfect life is given to us. Go ahead.
Well, I think what you're trying to say is he doesn't demand perfection to come to him. But once you've come to Him,
we're perfect in His eyes. We're complete in
we're
His eyes.
complete, and then He tells us to. That's when the pursuit of holiness starts.
The pursuit of holiness.
So,
right.
you know, in other words, don't clean up your act and then come to Jesus.
You'll never get clean enough.
You'll never be clean enough. You'll never feel ready.
Yeah.
You were talking about that a couple. Was it Sunday or was it during this? But in other words, that we're not here to clean up and work our way to be loved by God or anybody. First thing is people need Jesus, and then after that, Jesus works on us.
Jesus works on us. That's right.
And he changes our lives.
Right.
So sometimes how we reach out to people, we immediately kind of go after their sin.
Ah, yes. Instead of just
saying, "Hey, you need Jesus."
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you're depressed or dealing with any sort of emotional issue, just really lean into Him. Sometimes you don't even know why you feel that way. Your life can be, you can say, "Great, Pastor Jeff, you've talked about rejection, you've talked about this." What was the second one? Rejection, and then there was...
there's insecurity.
Insecurity, and then you had another one in there. But there is a time where you might feel a certain way and you have no idea why. You're like, "I shouldn't be feeling this way. My life is going great, but yet I don't feel good." And I can really, the whole idea of adding value resonates with me, because it's important, I think, especially for women, to sometimes, I don't know if this is something that's just in us, it's just kind of a general feeling that we deal with, and there's some women, of course, that don't deal with it, and I get it, but I think as a whole, women deal with insecurities.
Right.
And maybe it's because we're the weaker sex. I don't know, but we're prone to that. And it's very important when I don't feel like I'm adding value to a relationship or to something that is part of my life. Maybe it would be a work situation, or I don't feel like I'm good enough. That can be a start of a decline for me.
Sure, absolutely.
But I might not even know it at the time.
Right.
It's so strange. Depression is such a mystery sometimes.
Right.
But when it hits, I can tell you one thing. When it hits, open that Bible up.
Yes.
And start asking Him.
Wow.
And start asking God for help.
Yeah.
I used to envision this part of the Bible where the disciples were in the boat with Jesus, and the waves were coming up, and was it Peter was reaching? Peter walked out of the water to Jesus.
Jesus called him out to him.
And then he started to have doubt, and he started sinking.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a picture of him, I think I've seen somewhere, where he's starting to really sink, and then he reaches his hand, and Jesus is holding. There's been times where I feel like I'm just here. I can't take any more. I'm going to go under. And I just would envision my hand reaching out, and God pulling me out of there and saying, I'm holding on for dear life.
That's wonderful.
And sometimes that's what we got to do. But He'll pull you out every single time, and He'll tell you what you need to do to stay out.
Right. You said something earlier about adding value to things, and whether you're able to add value into something, or whether you're able to add value into a relationship or a job or in giving or something like that, has no determination on your own personal value to God.
Mm-mm.
That is the starting point. And I think that's the point of what I was trying to say here, is that it doesn't matter what you've done. This woman was not perfect. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who has said what about you, who has accused you of things. It doesn't matter what those religious leaders were saying about that woman. Jesus saw great value in her, and He pursued her, and did everything He could to protect her and save her. And He told her, "Listen, who is standing here accusing you?" And she said, "No one, Lord." And He said, "Nor do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Okay, so Your value and your worth is determined by what Jesus has done for you. You're so valuable that he died on the cross for you. And he died on the cross for you, and he died on the cross for me. And I'm grateful for it. So remember, you have value, you have worth, and we love you. Right? There you go. All right, 9 o'clock Sunday morning, okay? Let everybody know.
9 o'clock.
We love you. We'll be back tomorrow night with Relationship Friday.
Relationship and depression.
Okay. Bye-bye.